given the fact that your model depends on you being very simple and interconnectable to anyone and so on.
Right.
Isn't the bar to entry very low, and the temptation for especially the larger banks to create their own version of Obopay very high?
They have, and we actually accept and embrace that, because at the end of the day, you have to look at SMS as a model. And SMS today is ubiquitous because there's no barrier to entry or flow. You can send an SMS to anybody, to any telco, any network in the world. And at the end of the day, you still get revenues for what you do. So I think payments is similar, is that there's no way that you'll be the provider for everyone. But for the ones that you are, you might as well maximize it. And the way to maximize it is to be open.
So what's the value proposition that holds it together for you, like that generates the income?
Well, the value proposition is two. I mean, we obviously get work with our partners to provide application development, professional services. But in all our engagements, we have a piece of the action, which means we share in transaction revenue. So the long-term benefit for Obopay is the fact that we have a revenue share and a stake in the business.
So is a lot more critical success factor dependent on your choice of who you work with, or?
It is largely, because if you look at our partners, they're all big players. FIS is one of the largest players in the US. MasterCard is a major association. SocGen is one of the largest banks in the world. And Nokia is the largest retail brand in India. So if you look at it, the partners have marketing reach and distribution and clout, which is supplemented by our technology innovation and constant product innovation that we bring to the table. So we're constantly innovating, bringing out new products like cardless ATM withdrawal at viral cash out, Facebook widgets. So all of these technology innovations we bring to the table to our partners. At the same time, we need to depend on them to make a success of it, because this is, at the end of the day, a large retail brand in each market, very much like toothpaste or chocolate or soap.
Right. And in terms of the what would you call it? The widgets that you create, the viral cash out program and so on. Do you need to keep building applications like this in order to be relevant? Or? Yeah,
I mean, our retail innovation is only as good as the next one, right? Because your competitor copies you, and then you need to move on. So it could today it's taking the form of pricing and promotion engines that we're building to give new pricing and promotion packages, flexible fees, flexible commissions, instant commission sharing with agents. So there's lots of innovation that you need to do to make it relevant, not just for consumers, but for the people who are pushing it to consumers.
So the transaction itself is not completed on your platform. It's completed at the bank end or the.
Quite often, yes. Quite often, a transaction, a complicated transaction would be: I want to pay a merchant from my wallet. I don't have sufficient funds in my wallet, so I've set up rules to say, go and pull that money from a bank account in real time, make the transaction, and then notify me. So in a situation like that, we are bridging across bank networks, association networks, merchant payment gateways to make the transaction happen. So there's a complex role we're playing as a man in the middle to enable this, and all through the mobile channel.
Right. Let's focus on what you're doing in India. Your initiatives with Yes Bank and Union Bank.
Yeah.
That's more revenue generating for you.
Yes.
Because of the nature of the partnership. Basically.
Yes.
And they outsource the application development. How much of the completion of the transaction do you provide services for?
Entirely, because the entire transaction is processed, whether it's a person to person, a person to merchant. If it's a bill pay transaction, we initiate it, we talk to the bill pay provider or aggregator, and then provide the confirmation back to the customer. So in some sense, we build an entire ecosystem. We work with bill pay aggregators, we work with top-up aggregators, so you can top up any mobile with any network.
Now, what kind of due diligence did the RBI require on you, and what kind of risk controls are in place?
Okay, so the Reserve Bank today holds the banks accountable. at the end of the day. But each bank had to provide a proposal that was backed by detailed transaction flows, reporting, risk management, security, PIN encryption, and all of the audit processes that are required to run this. So today we're ISO 27000 compliant, we're PCI compliant, also audited independently by the institution. So Yes Bank, Union Bank have sent independent auditors to ensure that we conform to all of the requirements and guidelines. But when we did the proposals, we assisted both those banks with the material of the proposal, with any follow-up and due diligence that was required by the RBI, and continue to engage with them in a fairly detailed way.
Right. And what about standards in terms of providing bank-to-bank transactions and so on?
So the bank-to-bank transaction standard in India today, so we interoperate with 3 networks. One is the electronic clearing services operated by RBI. The second one is the NEFT, which is also operated by RBI. And the third one is the NPCI's IMPS platform, which is operated by the NPCI. So today, we are interoperable with all those 3 networks. In addition to which, globally, of course, we are integrated into the MasterCard MoneySend network.
Right. And what is the profile of the transactions that you're seeing in India?
The initial profile we saw was less P2P because we were only in a few cities. But as that base is growing, that is starting to pick up because you need to have obviously presence in both sending and receiving, and India is a large country. So we expect once we're in about 60 cities, hopefully with Nokia's marketing muscle soon, then we'll have reached some critical mass for P2P. But we've seen a good amount of transactions on top-up. Particularly, multi-carrier top-up. So people are topping up not just for themselves, but for their relatives across multiple carriers, and doing it in sachet amounts. So we've seen interesting patterns where somebody would cash in 10,000 rupees and then go into top-up for his whole village because it's easy for him. It's all done phone to phone. So we saw a lot of that happening. Bill pay has gradually started picking up some momentum. Electricity, water, gas,
right.
etc.
Right. And the bill pay transaction completion, it's like instantaneous?
Yeah, we have both. So we have basically got instant bill pay, like we did with the BSNL network. So you could, when you did a postpaid bill, it actually topped up the BSNL server directly. The other kind of bill pay we have is 3 varieties. One is called entire amount, which requires if the amount is presented to you, and we do presentment. That's a neat thing about it, because we actually present you the amount on the phone.
Okay.
And
that's like push.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So rather than you initiate it, the service tells you once you register for a biller, then you confirm and you just do a yes/no confirmation, put your PIN, and you pay the entire amount. We have a variable model where, like for credit card bills, etc., you can pay up to the minimum amount. Right. So that's all configurable. And then we have an ad hoc model. So if you want to, let's say, pay a charity or donate to your favorite temple in Tirupati, you can do that.
Right. And when you do you see yourself providing increased functionalities for to generate more P2P traffic by, for example, barcoding and
not for P2P, but we did when we did the Pune trial, we actually marketed it to 300 merchants, small merchants, kirana shops, plumbers, self-employed people, and we found that they had a big need for it, because for them it was a very convenient way to collect cash, especially where remote payments were required, so that they didn't have to run around collecting money. And typically in kirana shops you'll find that they maintain a khata, and a lot of people take goods on credit. Right. So this gives them a good collection mechanism.
Right. And they work with your bank at the back end.
Yeah. So in this case, either Union Bank or Yes Bank would acquire the merchant, right? As a money customer, as a money merchant, and then they get paid to the merchant account, and then of course they can move the money to their bank account as they choose.
Would you describe your India business as being profitable right now?
For Obopay, yes. Yeah.
Sorry, for Obopay?
For Obopay, at this point, yes.
Right.
Yes.
What other entities there? I mean,
no, in terms of the market has to mature for us to start earning some transaction revenues, etc.
Right.
So obviously we're at a nascent stage right now.
For the transaction revenue to kick in, but
Sure.
you're making money from all the value-added services.
Value-added services that we're doing.
Application
That's right.
development and so
Correct.
on,
Correct.
as a service to your
Partners.
institution.
Yeah.
In everything that you've told me, I think what remains to be discussed really or pinned down is the dynamics that's going to see how the industry evolves. Because your platform is so open and it's so replicable that the next big thing can just wipe out the model and then we move on to the next.
Is that really true? Because it's taken us about 18 months to set up the ecosystem and infrastructure. So actually, I think it's a big barrier to entry. On the other hand, and the amount of money and effort and time we spend building it will make sure that perhaps only the largest players can do that. It's not something that's easily replicable because the time effort of setting up the infrastructure, the connectors, the bank, the audit, etc.
The
ecosystem development.
Although the functionality itself is very simple.
The functionality today will predominate around person to person, person to merchant, bill pay, top up, and these are the use cases that will proliferate. At some point, connecting it to international remittance might be an ideal thing to do, as the RBI, in their wisdom, decides to deregulate that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Sure.
For spending time with us. Yeah, cheers.
Sure.